I would like for you to see manifested tenderly loved the profound strengths of evil acts, the advantage of living an austere Christian life, and the benefit of a good death. The divine justice is terrible. No, it overflows with mercy. What is terrible is sin, personal sin, and the scandal, which is contagious and causes the increase of sin in the world. What is terrible is the totality of the sin of others, sin which is hidden but originates by the bad example of our mortal defects. What is most terrible is human indifference to the immense love of our God for us. On the other hand, she added, the glorification of man without the complete satisfaction of divine justice is not possible. The Most High loves us infinitely but justly. He will never act as an unsuspecting, all pardoning body. He does not tolerate in heaven the slightest stain or trace of sin, of omission or commission, because sin is completely incompatible with divine purity. This is not indifference of the Most High, she continued. The blessed are in a personal and free interrelation with the Lord. Therefore, the slightest splinter of moral evil would obstruct this relationship. Because of this, there is a need for purification after a good death. So, if a man was not a perfect Christian in this life, he has to learn the customs of the fatherland, which are the Christian virtues. It is very hard. No, what happens is that you are very tolerant. Would you perhaps like for your friends and relatives to keep in the eternal glory their defects, bad customs, impurity, impiety, and mundane matters? It is clear that our God pardoned all guilt and eternal punishment of those who died in the state of grace, but some preserve the root of bad habits which were not overcome in the mortal life. These are the severe injustices which were not amended for lack of time, and which were still not restored in the space time of the past, guarded in the fifth dimension. Ignorance, due to religious indifference of the great love given by the Most High, produces an inadequate response to this supreme love. As a consequence expressed tenderly loved, there is a need to suffer just punishment to compensate for sins already pardoned with respect to eternal punishment and guilt. There is a need to rectify terrestrial indifference toward heavenly realities and find one's exact place in the fatherland. There is a need to learn celestial habits and make restitution in a heavenly manner for what was taken. With this in mind, I am calling your childhood friend Mauricio, who is now a blessed, so he may talk with you. Mauricio, my elementary school companion, quickly approached us. He introduced himself in the biological stage of childhood, and I did not detect any signs of glorification. At that time he was a child of my age, taller and huskier than I, who continuously laughed at me. Of course, he was a burden to me, and I didn't know that the dislike for others is due to the obscurity of the bonds of friendship planned beforehand by the Creator to unify his adopted human sons. These are stupendous bonds of reciprocal and complementary attraction which, at times, are almost erased in life because of sin in the world. Much afterward I knew I was not the cause of his laugh, but a bothersome tic which periodically contracted his left his left facial muscles, causing an intolerable sarcastic smile. Because I couldn't openly fight him, I contrived a little intrigue with the teacher by removing a small bicolored pencil which was special to the teacher and arranged that he be blamed for it. He was severely punished, and I laughed at his smile for a period of time. Mauricio amiably greeted me and began to laugh, but he didn't laugh in his old jeering way, but with friendly and happy outbursts. Please pardon me, Mauricio, I contritely requested. Of course, and don't worry about what happened back in school. Be concerned about the way in which you will make restitution in eternal glory. But don't suffer, man, he exclaimed on noticing my disturbance. I will help you in the fatherland. And he suddenly disappeared. What do I do now, tenderly loved? I asked with preoccupation. Try to increase your degree of glory. I already told you that if you become a better Christian, you receive greater joy in heaven and increase the happiness of all your brothers in the fatherland. In the fatherland, the bonds of loving attraction, of complementary friendship, and congeniality will shine in all their splendor. These are the bonds which our Lord established from his absolute eternity among all the blessed and all creation. However, the consequences of unconquered hostility on earth is the reduction of the glory of heaven and the compensation of the glorified offended in this world. The Most High is very loving, but terribly just. I will relate another anecdote, proposed tenderly loved. In it, you'll understand that our God will ensure that in the precise space time when you conquered temptation or endured any deception, poverty, sickness, or tribulation for Him, in that very act of your existence, guarded forever in the fifth dimension, you receive the complete divine consolation you sought. The Lord will also give you the praise that erases the offense to your dignity as an adopted son of the Creator. He will give you the loving corresponding friendship denied you because of human misunderstanding. Recently married, continued the enchanting inhabitant, I went through a difficult economic situation with my husband. At a desperate moment, I sought money from a lender in Potosi. I'll give you the money you want, the lender advised, but at a monthly interest rate of 5%. I have the bishop's permission to loan at 2%, but since I am a poor widow and I have many expenses, it's fine, I responded. Take my mother's small jewels and tell me where to sign. Of course, added tenderly loved, she didn't give me any receipt. Months passed and I could hardly pay the interest. When my husband found better employment, I went to repay the money. You only owe me half the loan, responded the lender. The remainder was paid when I sold your jewels. I supposed you wouldn't be able to pay me, and I auctioned them off. I was distraught by this injustice, narrated my celestial loved one, and since I was pregnant with my second child, I fainted from grief. The lender took all my money and dragged me to the street. After coming to the blessedness, added tenderly loved, our God asked me to glorify my body at that time in the house of the lender, precisely in the earthly space time in which I was offended. You know how easily this is done in heaven, since the entire human organism remains alive in the ambient of the fifth dimension, or created eternity. Pardon me, the lender implored with the profound pain and sorrow of purgatory, which I knew well because I had just left it. Our God advised me, said tenderly loved, that not only should I pardon her, but I should promise her my friendship in heaven. I did it and, in part, mitigated her terrible purification, and now she is my friend in the blessedness. Our Lord enabled me to see how the injustice He permitted was to help me collaborate with His designs. What is amazing is that of my tribulations, of losing my jewels and money, dozens of blessed and very important ones begged our Lord the privilege of being first to satisfy me with their immense glory in a delightful celestial manner. The most powerful, she continued saying, plans man's voluntary and free destiny on a straight path, although it seems crooked from an earthly viewpoint.